Okay, so today is Friday, October the 13th, 2023. It is the final Stronghold Digital Mining daily update of the week. There are basically only a couple of things I'm really looking at right now. The first of which is whether or not the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission will or will not choose to contest a very, very strongly worded appellate court decision, essentially telling the SEC that they need to allow the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust to convert into an exchange-traded fund. I'm simplifying the situation just for just like in the interest of time. Essentially, I don't want to get into all the nuances of the litigation. But as of about 2:35 in the afternoon this Friday, there has been no formal appeal, right, or any kind of paperwork filed by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission contesting that. So we're going to have to see, right, if anything comes up. If nothing happens, then this goes back to the court, which will then determine what the next steps are going to be. And again, I'm simplifying it. So that's the main thing I'm looking at today, right? Secondarily, I'm always on the lookout for any potential news releases by our favorite company, right? Stronghold Digital Mining. You never know. There could be an after market hours news release. I am not holding my breath, right? But I still have all my different little pieces of software that alert me if something drops. So hey, if something comes up, we'll address it at that time. But again, that's on my radar as well. Beyond that, there's not a whole lot else on my radar for today. The price of Bitcoin itself has been not as strong the past week or so. Some might argue it's due to geopolitical events, all right, in various parts of the world. Others might argue that it's simply trading, right? The price of Bitcoin goes up, it goes down, right? There's no rhyme or reason sometimes to why something like Bitcoin will move the way that it moves in a particular week, absent something really, really specific to Bitcoin that might be happening. So, so we'll just have to see. This has been an interesting week, to say the least. The number one thing that surprised me, as I've kind of alluded to, is that, hey, we went insofar as to create this, meaning Stronghold Digital Mining created this really lovely, I thought very professionally created graphic, to sort of demonstrate what our August 2023 Bitcoin mining production numbers look like. And so I really did anticipate that trend, which had kind of started gaining some traction, would potentially continue. But as I've also said, hey, it's not something that I was necessarily ever, really, really like that desperately keen to see. I don't know that there's a lot of information to be gleaned from a monthly Bitcoin production number. However, I do think it certainly satiates, right, a segment of the market that's interested in just hearing more from the company, right? The idea that, hey, if we hear something from the company, it means the company's okay, so to speak, or they're alive, and that they're communicating with not just investors, but with the general public. So yeah, from that perspective, as I've said, I do think that there would be merit to attempting to continue that trend once you choose to start it. But again, I'm not privy to some of the strategic thinking, right, or decision making that's behind some of these decisions. So as I said, hey, it is what it is. But I'm going to continue to monitor for any news releases that pertain to what, if anything, we're going to do with our 25 megawatts of end-to-end data center equipment, which, to the best of my knowledge, we still have that, absent there being a public filing indicating that, hey, we decided to sell it or to do something else with it. So that's very much still on the radar. And now that we are approaching the middle of October, the next real major interaction that we can expect to have with Stronghold Digital Mining will be the Q3 2023 investor presentation. absent there being an investor presentation, there will certainly be a Form 10Q filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Certainly that would have to happen, to the extent the company wanted to maintain its listing on the NASDAQ global markets. Various exchanges have different stipulations as to what types of forms need to be filed and on a periodic basis. So again, I'm not attempting to imply or suggest that we wouldn't have a Form 10Q, or that we would somehow not have an investor presentation. We have, to the best of my knowledge, had an investor presentation pretty much ever since we went public in October of 2021. So that brings me to the final thing. Next week, right, the 19th to 20th, right, that's going to be the 2-year anniversary of Stronghold Digital Mining having gone public, right? Having become a publicly traded company, right? The company decided to go, so to speak, through the front door, right, of the SEC. We filed an S1. We actually went through the formal IPO process. The company did not merge with a SPAC or anything like that. And that's something I'm really proud of, that we actually did that. And so when we look at our numbers, when we look at our filings, we're not suddenly seeing some random name of some company that you're like, hey, what is this? Oh, that's right. That's that random company we merged into so as to become a public company. No. Everything we see in our filings, right, pertain to us as a company, which I think is kind of cool. And again, as I said, I'm really proud of the fact that we walked in through the front door and not kind of like through the back door or the side door or anything like that. So, okay. Hey, let's try to stay positive. Let's try to be great. I say try, not because I have any problem being positive. I think that's pretty obvious by now. And it's not because I have any doubt in my mind as to my desire for this broadcast and for our company to be a great company. But I do recognize and acknowledge that you may sometimes not necessarily share my optimism or my enthusiasm or my sense of real destiny that I think this company possesses. And while it's true that the road ahead is uncertain, and while it's certainly true that the road ahead, as it has always seemingly been, right, is filled with peril and a large degree of risk, right, I choose to look at this operation objectively. I choose to look at all the amazing things that we have going in our favor. And I am incredibly, personally speaking here, I'm incredibly excited about the direction the company's heading towards. And I have every reason to believe that we will, right, in due course, live into our full potential as a business, live into our full potential as a company, and that we will ultimately be able to fulfill our purpose and our mission. And that to me is really, really important. Okay, so with all of that said, have a great weekend, and we'll see each other again here on Monday.